Hi Capricorn, welcome to your September 2018 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. I'm shuffling the cards. I'm using the Morgan Greer deck. Boy, you got a lot of major arcana cards, I'll tell you. I will tell you. Okay. So, the heart of the matter is the High Priestess. I have a t-shirt with the High Priestess on it, which is really cool. So, the High Priestess is a card of connecting to your higher self. So it is a spiritual card. It is a passive card doing the inner work. And, you know, I just was doing Gemini's reading and I got the Magician card. So that's kind of like you got the Magician, that's the outer manifester of the outer world, you know, career and love and you know, material things, right? And then this is the inner manifester, the inner life, you know. So Capricorn might be a sign that's really doing inner work. We even have this Four of Swords that I'll get to in a minute. And you've had, you know, a lot of these intense energies in your sign, transits, so it's no wonder that you would feel like this. It's a great influence, actually, because sometimes it's not about the outer world. Sometimes it's about inside, you know. Sometimes your peace of mind is an inside job, and you have to treat it with the same importance that you treat your career, making sure that you are connected to source energy, that you're not neglecting the spiritual side of life. And we have here at the base of the reading the Temperance card, which the person has 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land, and that can speak to, you know, being grounded but spiritual at the same time. And you're an earth sign, so that groundedness that comes naturally to you. One of the pitfalls of earth signs is getting too caught up in that, in the material energy. So it's wonderful to have that balance that the Temperance card represents. Now, this could be a situation too in your personal life where if you have gotten sober, maybe you had some kind of an addiction that didn't allow you to really see what was going on around you because you were so caught up in that, that now you realize that you overlooked a lot of stuff that was going on, because we have at the challenge card here, the Five of Wands, and this is a combative energy. So it might be like, you know, for instance, sometimes there's a great movie about addiction in marriage. It's called When a Man Loves a Woman. It was with Meg Ryan and Andy Garcia, I believe. I think it was Meg Ryan. And it was so, I really found that a moving movie, because, you know, usually I think they depict men as the alcoholic and she was the mother or the wife. I think they had kids. But it just showed like how addiction hurts the family, but also how the other person suffers, you know, in that relationship, and how the relationship changes when the person becomes sober. I think that was the genius part of it. And so if, let's say, that you became sober and you started to realize a lot of things have been wrong that you kind of glossed over because you were not with it, or Maybe it's your partner who has gotten sober. Maybe that was the one thing you wanted, was for your partner to get sober. And now they are sober, but it hasn't stopped the fighting, and you notice that there's a lack of compatibility within the relationship, and that may be something that you are starting to understand at a deeper level. Because the High Priestess too can be about secrets, perhaps the conflict in a relationship is due to some sort of guilt on one person's side. Sometimes people start fights when they are the ones doing the dirt, or they start causing problems for the other person, and they're the one that is doing whatever it is that maybe they're even accusing the other person of doing it, but in any case, they're still in this fight mode because they feel guilty that they are cheating, that they really don't have the feelings towards that person, and they might even be trying to get that other person to break up with them, who knows, so that they don't have to feel guilty about it. But the High Priestess, what I like about this card is that it's a passive card. It's not a card of like, oh, I need to do this. And, Capricorn is a cardinal sign. And the cardinal signs, one of, I think, the mistakes that they make is also one of their greatest strengths. And that is taking action. Some people complain about their life, but they never act on it. They just accept whatever comes their way, and then they complain about it when they don't like what they get. And then you have Capricorns and Cancers and Libras and Aries, all cardinal signs. And they tend to, they don't like something, they tend to make changes. Or do something about it. But sometimes there's nothing to do. Sometimes when you try to do something, you're either being too controlling, and that creates more resistance from the other person. You may be investing energy in something that you need to actually be distancing yourself from. There's just different reasons why it's not necessarily a good idea to take action at all times. And so, this could be what's happening, and you don't really know exactly what to do about it, but you really feel this strong sense of wanting to get to the bottom of something. Maybe you just sense that something is not quite right. You don't know what it is. Maybe it's even like somebody who has gotten sober has gone back to using, and they're lying to you, and you're fighting again, and you know that there's some reason for it, and this is why, because they're lying to you. They're telling you that they're sober when they're not. The higher message, the Emperor. Now, I always associate this card with you, but it's supposed to be Aries, but this is about taking control. And so it's probably saying that you have perhaps abdicated your responsibility in the situation, and especially with an issue like addiction, this can happen because the other person feels helpless. It's easy to feel helpless when there is this situation that you have no control over, that is feeling like pretty bleak. You may feel like, you know what, I don't think this person's going to change, and you want them desperately to change, and yet they're not doing what you want them to do. Having said that, the Emperor can be a card that you really step into very easily, because I do think of Capricorns as having the ability to do what needs to be done. Maybe at first there's that sense of, I can't, I can't control this. I wish I could make this stop, and I can't. But then something comes over you, and the part of you that does, being an earth sign, you do have a sense of that balance, or I would call it groundedness, where even when you're emotional, you may still have that rational temperament, and that can be a saving grace when you're going through difficult circumstances. Now that's kind of like the philosophical position. For the actual practical advice, we have the Chariot card. And this is about grabbing the reins of the horse. And it may seem like more a metaphor, but actually, I would say, I mean, this is a card of victory, but it can be with Cancer. If there's a Cancer person in your life who is helpful, that I guess that could be that. But I think this is like meditation. Grabbing the reins of the horse, because it's like, who is driving the chariot? Is the person driving it, or is the horse driving it? And the horse can be your thoughts that are wild and that they're not controlled very well. And it's like you have to, gain control over your thoughts. You can't allow yourself to run amok because of a particular combative, situation like this. You have to have the equanimity, they call it, and this is done by meditation. So going back to that High Priestess card, this can be a time where it's really good for you to practice meditating and having a regular practice, and little by little, maybe not the first day, maybe not the first week, but then things start to feel a little bit less intense, a little bit more like you have some breathing room. And then you can handle whatever situation that comes about. You're able to make the best decision for yourself. What is coming in is represented by the Page of Wands, and this is a card of good news that you receive about something, and maybe if it's it could be like a new job, because I haven't talked about this from the standpoint of any kind of career situation, but that's always a possibility as well, that you are undergoing a particular change in your career. Maybe you're tired of the dog-eat-dog world, which I would call the Five of Wands, a competitive environment, a very caustic environment, not supportive. With the High Priestess and even the Temperance card, we're looking at things that are more balanced. Maybe it's like in that type of work, you have to work long hours, and that takes a lot out of you. But you're also, maybe you're just like kind of like tuning into what you need to do. And in that process, finding out that, hey, even though I'm a Capricorn, I'm not as into that sort of dog-eat-dog environment that I thought I would be. Or maybe at one time you were, but you've gotten to the point in your life where you want more balance in your life. And that could be also, let's say you're a woman and you're in your late 30s, and you know that your biological clock is ticking, and you're like, I'm working and I might, have kind of climbed the ladder of success, but I want more from my life than just this job, this career. I want to have a family. I want to get married, or I want, I want somebody that's a life partner. And I want, in some cases, you may want children. And it's like, what am I going to do? Am I just going to continue to pour all my energy into this area of life? Or am I going to try to make some changes so I can have some balance in my life? The Page of Wands could be like hearing about something that makes your heart sing. Maybe it's a job offer that is coming down the pike. I do think, though, that with this, the outcome card, the Four of Swords, you may decide to take some time off for yourself to recharge your batteries before you go to your next phase of life. Now, the fact that I got all these major arcana cards, Capricorn, it could be a particularly meaningful month for you in September. What I like about September is the fact that it is a time of, for the most part, you have the sun in a fellow earth sign, so that's compatible with you. It trines you. It's a great time for you. So yeah, that's what I have for you. And if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. I hope that your September is very thought-provoking, spiritual, and peaceful. Take care. Bye.